Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. I want to talk to you today about money and death. You know, I look around in this life that I'm living in, and I've been here quite some time now, and I noticed a whole bunch of things that are consistently reoccurring. And they seem to be reoccurring for the same reasons that a stalk of corn grows. The seed keeps getting planted and it keeps returning. And it appears to me that maybe some of us who are older now would realize the reality of and the truth of this statement. And perhaps that if we want something more fantastic than, well, a lot fantastic than the situations that we are dealing with every day, then we would plant a different seed. And I just want to spend the last part of my life planting a different seed. And the reason that I want to plant that different seed is because you, the people, there are so many of you that I have never ever seen or even could even figure in my mind what you look like as far as your numbers are concerned. But there are some around here that I see all the time. And I wish that we could all enjoy one another. I wish that we could have a wonderful life. And for this reason or that reason, we don't have a wonderful life. And I sit back based upon what I have learned, and I see the people, my neighbors, my family. I see them as actively involved in slavery as were the people back in hundreds of years ago. The same old slavery. Oh, the jobs might have changed, but the work is just as demanding. And for what? Just as demanding. And I just see the life sucked out of living and try to spend a little bit of it in the evening, which is turned into watching television or something, or on the weekend, which is turned into maybe trying to do some shopping or get some food or buy something like that or pay bills. And some rest on Sundays and some go to church hoping to be revitalized with truth that will set them back ready to repeat the week. And the things of laughing and spending time with friends an awful lot, spending time with family, of doing things like camping or hiking, going on retreats, or visiting families locally or far away, or just traveling to see the scenery, going to museums and enjoying life, sometimes just riding, just to be riding, or flying just to be flying, or boating just to be boating. And then going to a career that you love doing. What happened to those things? Why can't those things be? I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, that those things can be. I spent 40 years saying this to you, and for 40 years, the big picture that you've been dealt with every day will not allow you to listen to this, and you cannot believe it because you won't believe it. And as a consequence, you are missing out on life. You remember, those of you who study, the Bible. There's an inference there where they say that Lucifer was an angel in heaven. Somebody said he was beautiful. I don't know what that meant. Aren't they all beautiful? Or when they said beautiful, was that just an expression of humankind? But apparently, this angel was dissatisfied with the way things were and his position in it. And he wanted to do some changes. And I heard that because of that, he was kicked out of heaven. That was, in essence, saying he died, or this angel died from heaven. This angel was no longer a part of heaven. This angel was dead to heaven. I heard that, and I'm sure you did too, that man was created. I'm just going pitching some stuff now to get you to understand where I'm coming from and where I'm going. And they made Adam and Eve. Not going into was he the first man, how many was it at this time. I'm going to use this as an expression to say that it happened. That it was, the garden was to be ruled just like heaven was, where everything is on the up and up. Sure, they had choice in heaven. Otherwise, Lucifer wouldn't have been able to do what he did. And they had choice in the garden. Otherwise, Adam and Eve wouldn't have been able to do what they do. And here it was, heaven, and people rejected it. Angel rejected it. Here it is, the garden, heaven, and the angel rejected it. And here we are right now on earth. Maybe an extension of the garden, I don't know. Potentially heaven, but the people reject it. Death means kicked out of heaven. Now, I don't know if that was heaven consciousness or heaven geography. The garden, I don't know if that death was consciousness or lack thereof, or actually coming outside of the garden. I know here we are today. Now, does heaven mean consciously? I know one thing. If it's not, you'll never get the physical expression of it. So, what am I wanting to imply to you today? I want you to know that when I talk about you being a slave, you work on jobs that you don't even enjoy. Many of you do. Most of you do. Some of you enjoy your jobs, but most of you don't. You do it for the money. You work. But do you really do it for the money? No, you don't really do it for the money. You do it for what you can do with it, with money. And what is that? You can buy food. You can buy clothing. You can pay for shelter. You can pay for education. You can pay for health care. All of these things you can do with money. But let me ask you something. Don't you do them anyway? You only get the money after doing it. Nobody pays you up front. You do it, so you already know that you doing it anyway. And the only reason you do it for the money is because the money would allow you to do those things just mentioned. But what if you could do what you do, what you've been doing all the time, but where you want to do it at? Not just a job for money, but where you love working at, where you would love for that career to be at. And you would be doing it. But what would you be doing it for? Well, you were doing it so you could acquire the things mentioned. Now, what if you, by doing it, allowed you to acquire the things mentioned because you did it? Now, by doing it that way, you would eliminate debt, boom. You would eliminate credit, boom. You would eliminate taxation, boom. You would eliminate banks and the Federal Reserve, boom. You would eliminate so much crime and violence, boom. So what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, the system that we have chosen to live under is one that allows all of these different things to exist. These things exist because the system that we live under is the mother of these kinds of things. The system is no good. No good. It works for some and works against others. It is no good. Heaven, when Lucifer was there, worked for all of the angels. The garden, when Adam and Eve or whatever was going on there, it worked for all of them. Until somebody instituted change, until change came from somewhere. Here, I can't even imagine it ever working here. Outside. And when I say here, I'm talking about with the expression of man, outside of the garden. Once they left the garden, I can't even imagine it happening out here. Out here, it always has been somebody trying to take advantage over someone else. It's always been me, me, me. Self, self, self out here. And I think this is why it's so complicated for people to accept the heavenliness I've just mentioned to you. You can't accept it because you're not familiar with it. Your whole life has been talking about how to get over on somebody, whether it's playing football or basketball or hockey or boxing. It's getting over, beating somebody, becoming a winner. They becoming losers. It's always been about that. When you go to school, it's about becoming a winner while others are losing. Make sure you're better than them. Take advantage of their shortcomings. If the taxes, if you can see a loophole in the taxation, don't pay it. All of that kind of stuff. Scheming, scamming, all of that is a part of this system. And I come to tell you that this is not going to change unless you change. And you're not going to change unless you want to change. And why is it so complicated for you to do it? It's complicated because of this. In this system that we live here in America, and all of the systems in every other country all over the earth, there are minimal rewards for going along with what is established for you to go along with. There are punishments if you don't go along with them. And if you're not going along with it, has such an effect that it seems to impact the order of things, they will kill you. This, my friends, is the total opposite. But if you recall, they say the snake told Eve and Adam in the garden that you will not surely die. You will not surely die. Why did that snake say that? Assuming that whatever the snake represents. What is this? Is it representation of what was kicked out of heaven, who was aware that the only death he experienced, that was experienced there, was leaving heaven? So he knew that when the children in the garden violated God because of the influence, they wouldn't surely die in the sense that they would be no more. They just wouldn't understand heaven. They would become slaves. They would become prisoners to the new master. Oh, but they'll still have choice. But now they have this here bondage over them. They got this bind over them. They got death. Because now they don't really understand death. Here they get a chance to see what they've never seen before. They get a chance to see being put down, life leaving the body, put in the ground, or burned. They get a chance to see this. They get a chance to literally see it. And so now death means something. Death to them means what you know, dying, getting burned up, science, rotten. And they don't want to go through this. They want to stay above that as long as they possibly can. Nobody is telling them you will not surely die. No one is telling them that this is just like that old car you used to have and you got tired of it, or it stopped running and you got yourself a new one. They are not telling you that your body is like that old car, that it gets run down, it gets tired, worn out, and the body, hell, let it do what it does, but you require a different body. You require a different body. Now, if you're still scared because you get killed and stuff like that, you still want a different body. You still want a different body. But now you're being told that you're going to die before time if you don't follow suit. Nobody's saying you get a different body. Nobody says you just leave one to the other. Like nothing ever stopped, except if you working out on this side, on a positive vein, what you go into will be a continuation of a positive vein, but much more positive than it ever been right here. Why? Because you gave life to it. That's what you were about. And just the same on the other side of the line, if you were enjoying by abusing and taking advantage of, then that's the kind of type of environment that you will go into. Taking advantage of and abusing. Sometimes it might be you being abused. Sometimes you might be abusing others. You know, these are the kinds of things that you go through because of what you created in your living. So I'm saying all of the things that each of us want as individuals, whether we're angelic, whether we are in the garden, or whether we're here in these bodies on this earth at this time. We want peace in our lives. We want prosperity and we want joy. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only thing that is wrong is when a person, since we are people, decide that they want to be God. And what that means when they say they want to be God, they want everybody else doing what you want them to do. No more you do your thing. It's you do my thing. For some strange reason, that is always going to be there. But equally, there should always be no way, Jose. My living comes from an unseen power. My living comes from a spirit that cares enough about all of us to provide for all of us and instill in each of us something to participate so that all that is done belongs to all of us as a gift from the spirit, which I call God. Not democracy or president or queen or pope or man or woman or white or black. No, it's each of us. Spirit, love, and the colors and genders and all of that kind of stuff is just cream on the top. I didn't mean to talk to you this long. It's just that sometimes I get to speaking, and I know you don't get this kind of conversation, and I really know you don't want to get this kind of conversation. That's why when you click on this program, you will find that the numbers are low. Maybe one above it might have thousands of clicks. Some might even have millions, and you'll come to this one and it'll say 12. But it's the best message as far as I'm concerned that we could ever have, because in it lies our joy, lies our freedom. But like you said, somebody said a long time ago, and then I'm going to be out of here. It's straight and narrow, and few there be that find it. It's broad and it's wide. And there's so many going in there, they're stumbling all over each other. But that is the way of bondage, the way of freedom few find it. And those that find it know that a bullet, that a bomb, a hurricane, or nothing can end their lives. They just go from one point to the other. And in knowing this, it allows them to be free, and no one, no human being, no anything can bind them except love. Bye-bye.